As much as I love social media, I feel like where we are with it right now is in a really, really, really bad place. Last week, when you had the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal happen, Facebook's value dropped $50 billion. I mean, it goes to show you that there is seriously something wrong with the way social media is handled from not only an administrative part, but also with what people do on social media. And it gets pretty freaky when you kind of start looking into it, like what we see here with the suspects accused of raping teen and posting a video of it on Facebook. Now, this is not the first time this has happened, and nor will it probably ever be the last. But the fact is that you have in Tennessee 3 men currently arrested for the raping of a young girl, and then the recording of it and putting it up on Facebook. Now, we saw this last year at the beginning of 2017 with what was known as like the Black Lives Matter torture, so to speak, or the Facebook torture happening, where you had like 4 black youth out of Chicago kidnapping and beating on a white kid who was mentally deficient for I think over 24 hours, forcing him to say he loved Donald Trump, things like that. And even though everyone who watched the video were like, this is straight up a freaking hate crime, those kids were actually allowed to not be charged for a hate crime, which is crazy. That's not the situation here, but it goes to show you that there are people out there who do get off posting this kind of crap to Facebook. What we see here is Atun Hester, Martin Milan, and Rayford Smith were all charged with aggravated rape and especially aggravated exploitation of a minor after the 17-year-old victim reported the incident on Wednesday. She told police that she agreed for Milan to come over to her house to have sex, but told him no when he asked if he could bring his brother. When he arrived later that day with Smith and Hester in tow, she let them inside the home, but once made it clear that she was only interested in Milan, the others were told to wait in the other room. Now, apparently that is a bit too much. That's a bit wrong. You can't do that. You can't tell the guys that are there thinking they're going to get some too that they got to stay out in the other room. I mean, obviously I'm being facetious here, but that's a problem when 3 dudes show up wanting to get some and only the girl sitting there saying, I only want it for one. Bad things can happen, as they did, and as we will continue to read. Now, several minutes later, Smith and Hester entered the teen's room and raped her, police said. To make matters worse, Smith allegedly recorded the attack on a cell phone and posted it to Facebook. After the incident, the victim said she hid in her grandmother's bedroom. At first, Smith said he did not have sex with the teen, but confirmed he was the only one who recorded the video. He later reportedly changed his story, but stated that Hester was the one who walked into the room first and raped the woman. And then, of course, Milan also confirmed the story. So you have the 17-year-old girl interested in a guy, and then she invites him over. She's like, "Hey, come on over. We're gonna go a little brown chicken, brown cow," and he brings over his homies, and his homies want some of the action as well. And so when turned down, they decided to strike. And when they chose to strike, they chose to essentially go after this young girl and record it, post it to Facebook. And it's not the first time. I mentioned the incident in Chicago a while back last year, but there was also an incident in Sweden where 2 men, I do believe that they were refugees, raped a woman and posted the video to Facebook. We find ourselves in a situation where what you have is a culture. And I'm going to use that word. It might be a PC word, it might be a SJW or whatever. But you've got a culture where this is considered acceptable to an extent, right? Like you have a culture of youth yeah, I'm saying the word youth. I'm 36 in just a few hours. I'm going to say it. But you have a culture of young kids that are always posting everything that they do online. They're posting everything that they say online. And they're doing this for like the most narcissistic reasons. I don't always believe sociopathic, but I do believe heavy narcissism plays in here. And I'll tell you guys why. So today, for example, I took my daughter to go get her first Easter photos, right? And as we were waiting to get the photos taken, and even when we went up there to get the photos taken, my girlfriend was, filming and taking video from outside of the encounter area, where I was inside getting her all set up, and all the parents were doing the exact same thing. Yesterday, I went to the March for Your Lives protest, and everyone had their cameras out. Everyone was recording. People weren't in the moment. And I'm like, this is maybe why kids do this. Because growing up, every time they do something remotely significant, there's a camera in their face. There is somebody out there absolutely watching them, recording them, and posting it to the internet. And they think as they get older, they believe that this is the only way for them to maybe express themselves or to get some kind of validation from their peers for what they've done. They create their own evidence to be used against them. And I can't say that I'm against that happening, because I like the fact that these guys did in fact confess, and they are now, you know, charged with this particular crime, which they should be, because it's horrendous, it's horrific, it's tragic, and it should have never happened. I'm sorry, no means no. No doesn't mean hold up, let my boy rape you. That's not how this thing goes. But these kids feel entitled to something. Obviously these boys did. These boys absolutely felt entitled to the 17-year-old girl, but they also had a sense of narcissism about them for taking what they did and posting it on Facebook. And that, of course, is the saddest part of it all, is that this is not the first, nor will it ever be the last. I do hope that as my daughter gets older, I can teach her that you don't have to document everything that you do all the time, that it is good to save these types of pictures for moments that matter, and not just because you did something, well, mundane. That's not how we should celebrate life, but the youth of today, and clearly the youth of tomorrow, are going to go around believing that's what you do. What you just saw was a shorter clip from a longer show. The Rustled Podcast airs every Sunday through Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard on rustled.net. Please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as 3 Buck Theater, and potentially becoming one of our sponsors at patreon.com/mundanematt. Thank you, and have a great day.